I'm not worried about a trade war with the Chinese because, frankly, we're already in a trade war and America is losing. What I want to ask people who are afraid of a trade war is how exactly does a country that's running a $500 billion a year trade deficit lose a trade war with the rest of the world? It's pretty much inevitable at this point that the dollar is going to slide. There's no question that the dollar is an internationally overvalued currency. Now, whether the dollar slides gradually over a number of years or whether it exhibits a sudden crash, I can't tell you. Anyone who can, they ought to come here in a private jet, because that's not a $1 million question, it's a $1 billion question. If you can truly answer that question, you'd be a billionaire. Now, what this means for the American people is when the dollar goes down, everything we own in dollars becomes in internationally denominated money. It becomes slightly less valuable. Now, the average American is not going to care about the fact that the internationally measured value of their house or their 401k is less than it was, but what is going to happen is it is going to create inflationary pressures in the U.S. economy when the dollar slides. And anyone who's against this, it's pretty much inevitable at this point, because the present system we have with an overvalued dollar, we get all these cheap foreign goods which make us feel richer than we are. That's coming to an end, I'm afraid. Protectionism kind of has a bad name to some extent because it's been focused in the last couple of decades on trying to protect industries that are already dying, like the steel industry was in terrible trouble, textiles, and so forth. That is sometimes the right thing to do, but it's far more important to use protectionism as a tool to capture the industries of the future and to protect the industries of the present from falling into trouble, not simply as an ambulance to rescue industries that are already in trouble. There's a myth in this country that manufacturing is obsolescent and that we can all look forward to a bright future where we do abstract things, we provide services, and so on and so forth. The reality is that manufacturing is by no means a primitive or obsolescent sector of the economy. It's true that low-grade manufacturing of the final assembly of products where you're just sticking components together, that you can have that done by semi-illiterate labor, which is cheap labor anywhere in the world, and that is true. But if you're talking about the manufacture of sophisticated goods like computer components or jet turbine engines or even automobiles, that is simply not a fact. Why is it, I have to ask people who believe in this post-industrial mythology, that high-wage countries like Germany and Japan, which pay manufacturing wages equal to or greater than the United States, are still leading centers of car manufacturing? It's simply not true that you can't do manufacturing in developed countries. That is pure mythology. Frankly, Barack Obama's agenda on trade has been indistinguishable from that of George W. Bush. During the 2008 Democratic primaries, around the time of the Ohio and Pennsylvania primaries, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama got into a bit of a contest as to who could denounce NAFTA, and they both did at that time. Immediately after Barack Obama had the nomination sewed up, he started to backpedal on his comments, and he was actually caught sending one of his campaign advisors, Austin Goolsbee, to talk to the Canadian consulate in Chicago and tell them, well, we've been attacking NAFTA on the campaign trail, but don't worry, we don't really mean it. The present order in the United States, with the United States practicing one-sided free trade, is, I think, doomed no matter what. It's inevitably going to go away. Personally, I would have no problem with going back to the Teddy Roosevelt era of a tariff-protected economy, but there's more than one way to skin a cat here.